And so if I go to sheet metal, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the size of something, right? So if I create this, I tell that to be 4 by 2, and then, oops, I should have made it a component, so I make a component here, pick my rule, and go. And now I can do my shape there and say okay. So now I have this rectangle that's 4 by 2. And I want to make it thicker just so we can kind of see what's going on. So I want to change the rule to like 12 gauge, just so it's a little bit thicker, so we can see what's going on. So when I go into here and I go to flange, I pick this flange, I go to the front view. So if I kind of bring this up, you can see this is where that outside edge of that flange is, right? So if I draw on top of it, this is where that flange is, right? So as I drag this down, because I have the bend position set to inside, you can see that now this flange becomes on the inside of where that old edge was. If I change this to outside, now it puts the flange outside of where that edge is. So basically now my old edge lines up with the inside of my new flange. So it's kind of, the words are opposite, because it's putting the flange to the outside, but now it's lined up on the inside. So I don't like to look at the words, I like to see what it's doing. If I have that flange there, and if the dimension goes to the inside of the flange, then I want to make sure you use this one to make it go outside of the measurement. If the dimension is going to the outside of this, then I'll pick that one to make sure that it's going to so that way that's lined up with my old edge that I had. Okay, does that make sense? If I pick adjacent, now the bend starts where my old edge was. And if I do tangent, it looks the same as the inside, right? But if I do this, if I give it an angle, now look at the difference between tangent and inside. On tangent, it keeps the tangent corner of the bend at my measurement. If I do inside, now it's where this and this hit is at that corner. If I tell it inside, or oops, not that one. Outside, now it's where this one would have hit there. Okay? So if it's a 90-degree bend, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing a bend less than 90 or more than 90, now that see, on the outside, we only get inside and outside. We don't get the tangent. Oops. I only get tangent on a bend less than 90. If I change that to be more than 90, no, it won't let me. Because I can't have a tangent there. I have to pick one of the other ones. Okay?
So these options are also changing the length of our piece too, right?
Not this one, but the next one will.
Well, because when you when you chose different one, it kind of looked like it's moving.
Yeah, and so based on, let's see if that's there. So if there's my corner there. So yeah, by doing here, it's lining up with that old edge. So we're drawing that extra, our piece or whatever we're sketching, that's going to tell it we care about this dimension. Now by picking this, we tell it which side of the flange do we care about being that dimension. Does that make sense? And then from here, on this one, the height datum, now we're controlling how long this is, where it's measuring from. So right now, it's measuring from the outer face. So it's measuring from here to here. If I tell its inner face, see, it got longer. So if I change my color here, I tell it outer face, now it's measuring there. So now it's measuring from here, oops, from here to here. This is the outer face. So that's the outer face there. If I switch this to inner face, now it's measuring here to here. Okay? Does that make sense? So when we're telling it how far to go, if we have the dimension on the inside, we'd want to use this one.
So if you had an angle of like obtuse angle, so it would measure basically the interface for height data would be
The one closest to you.
get to the inner benchmark.
Yeah.
The outer would be the benchmark on the outside.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't really pay attention to what they say. I look at the picture. And I click on it and I see, oh, this is the short one. If the dimension is coming from the outside, then I know I need the shorter one, right? If it's coming from the inside, I need the longer one. So you can see the one that's coming from the inside is longer than the one that's coming from the outside, because it's taking into account the thickness. And so I always think, okay, is it going, which one do I need? And if I can click through them, it's like, oh, that's the long one, I need the other one. So I don't look at the picture, because the words, like, sometimes don't make sense in my head, but the picture does. And so I just look at the picture. I look at it and say, okay, do I want my old edge? See, look, if we do a So if we look at the pictures here, you can see the dotted line there. That's where your existing flange was, where your existing part was. So what I want, do I want it, the outside of my part to line up with where I was, the inside of my new flange to line up where it was, or start on it, or the tangent bend. For me, looking at the pictures makes more sense than trying to line up the words. Okay? And so that's all I care about it. For me, look at the pictures. If for you, seeing the word saying, okay, the flange is on the inside of that measurement, so that's dimension to the outside of the flange. If that makes sense to you, then go by the words. But for me, the picture is what makes sense. And so I like the picture of it. Okay? And so, and again, it's just kind of, if you know you want it, if you're given the outside, then you can go with it. So like if I have a part that is like this, right? And I'm given this dimension, and let's say that's 1. And I have this dimension here that's 0.75. And I have this dimension here that's 3. And I have this dimension here that's 1. Okay? So this is my new part that I want to draw. Okay? So I want to draw this part out. So what should I do first here in Fusion? Yeah, I should probably fix my top, right? It's my sketch, make that my 3. And then, since I didn't look at this, so I don't care what that is. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is. So there's my thing. And so I've got it 3 inches, but now I want it to go, which dimension do I care about next? Do I care about the 0.75 next or the 1 next? The 1, because that's my, give me my next flange. And so I'm gonna do my flange, pick here, go down. Where is it aligned? So I always kind of work the alignment first and then the length. So where is it aligned? Is it on the inside or the outside of where my old edge was? So my old edge was here, right? So is it on the inside or the outside of my old edge? It's on the inside of it, right? Because I'm going to the outside dimension, so the flange is on the inside. So I want this to make sure it's inside. Because if I go outside, see, it got bigger. I know that I'm dimensioning to the outside, so I want the smaller one. And then my height, it's going to be 1, is the height from the outside or the inside? It's from the outside, right? It's the shorter dimension, because it's here, it'd be longer. So it's the outside there. So I'm going to tell it outer face, because if I do inner face, so you got longer. So no, I want the shorter one, go there, say okay. Now I can do it from here going out this way. So am I using, so now I'm using this 0.75 one, right? Is this one outer or inner for the sideways? So is it inside or outside of the dimension? Inside, right? Because the dimension's here and it's inside of it. So I want that one to be inside also. So if it was outside, it would be there. So I want inside. And if my distance here is that the outer face or the inner face? It's the inner, because it's the longer one, right? So it's going to be inner face, and it was 0.75. So if I do my checks now, I just measure it. So I measure from here to here. That's my 0.75. If I measure from there to there, that's my 1 inch. Okay?
How do you measure the 3 inch?
The 3 inch? So from here to there. There's my 3 inch. So actually, let's switch this up. So I want to make this 3 inch not go to there, but to go to the inside here. So there. The 3 inch is going to go to the inside on that side. That way we can switch it up. So now I'm going to go over here, do my flange. So is this, so my existing edge is here. Is this new flange going to be outside or inside of my existing edge? It's going to be outside of it. So when I come here, I can tell it outside. And then for the height, is it using the inner or the outer surface? Inner, right? So it's the closer one it gets to it. So it's going to be the inner face, and it was 1 inch, right? There. So now when I measure it, from here, from the outside of that one to the inside of that one, there's my 3 inches. And if I go from the bottom of this to there, there's my 1 inch.
Say that the same flange we just did, say it had an angle of 120.
Okay. So 120, so an ins,
Outwards,
so 30.
30, yeah.
So we measure the angle from how much we're bending it.
Okay.
So now you want to see that difference now? So if we look at, let's zoom in a little bit, and let's draw some lines. So now if we tell it to be outer, you can see that way the end is just changing by the distance. If we say here inside, now it goes in. And so it's kind of which corner there. So let's actually bring this back to square. That way we can see what it was before. So we tell it outside. So now this outer edge lines up, but it's kind of some weird spot that's not exactly.
That's where I'm having difficulty. I kept trying to experiment with them, see, okay, on a small angle like that, like it's changing, but it's not changing how.
Yeah, it's not changing as much, and so it's, because here on the inside, it's, yeah, I don't know exactly that. It should.
Squishing the material.
What?
That's why you got that difference in angle for that edge, is because it's stretching and squishing the material.
Yeah.
So on the bottom of that green square, it pulls.
Yeah, but
that
it's.
green square because it's squishing the material
But
up, so it's the material there. But at the top, it's stretching it, so it's thinning it out at the top.
Yeah, but it's still keeping the thickness the same.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure, because you can see on the inside, this inside one is kind of so the inside one, it's going to that corner. Come on. Nope, that's not what I wanted. See, on the inside one, it's always going towards that corner, or on the bent outside, but on the bent inside, one. See, on that one it does. So once we get the angle a little more, it does go through that corner like I believe it should. One. There it kind of moves. Oh, there it is. I was looking at the wrong one when I did that. So there we go. So if I do it this way, if I look at the right number, you can see that it does go through that corner like it was supposed to. I had it on outside, but I was looking at that inside edge. So if I have it on inner, now it's worrying about this outside one. You can see it's going through that same point up there. So if I change this, no matter what angle it is, it's going to go through that corner. That's what it's supposed to do. I was drawing the wrong line from the wrong one. And if I change this to be outside, now when I do it, all those lines, oops, go to that corner. That's the way it should be. If I pick the right thing, then things line up. So by having it on outside, and the flange on the outside of it, the inside corner there stays the same. Everything moves around that inside corner. If I put this to the inside, now the outside corner stays the same, and everything
So it's just inverted.
lines up to that one. Yeah, it's just where is the flange going? So, yeah, that's what it is. So it's just kind of where that imaginary sharp, or where that corner of it is. That's going to stay the same, and then the material will either be on the inside or the outside of it. Does that make sense? Kind of. Luckily, most bins are done 90s, but just kind of remember, if you're dimensioning to the outside of it, you're going to have to pick the inside. If you're dimensioning to the inside, you pick the outside. It's kind of the opposite for the bin position. For the length, it's straightforward. Is it going to the near side? That's the inside. If it's going to the far side, it's the outside.
Even with the bend like this.
Yep. Still, the outer face is going to be shorter. The inner face is going to be longer. But now that's different, it's smaller because now it's outer, inner. So if I have the angle more flat, it's going to be a small change. If the distance is closer to here, it's going to be a bigger change. Because there's a bigger change from here to there versus there to there going that direction. Okay. Does that make a little bit more clear?